Hello. Welcome to Beading and Craft Gallery, the Creator's Paradise, Nassau, Bahamas. We're here to learn the technique of ring making. We're going to learn how to make rings today and just have a few here just to go over the design and what you can look for and things that you would need to do in order to get a particular design. And so these are rings that we made, and you can make rings with different size beads. You have a lot of women who love petite small beads. Their fingers are small, and so they would prefer a smaller bead. And so once you learn the technique, you're able to use anything to make rings. The wire that you would use for the wire that most commonly used is 20 gauge wire. Now, wire, when you're looking at wire and you're purchasing wire, they will refer to the wire in gauge, 20 gauge, 18 gauge. The smaller the number, the thicker the wire. So a 12 or a 10 gauge is very thick. That is used for like cuff bracelets, bangles. When you're looking at 28, it's very thin, right? So we're using 20 gauge wire to make these rings. And usually whenever you're making rings, you want to use a jewelry grade wire. You want to use wire that has a non-tarnish coating on there, and they would call it artistic wire. We sell a very good grade of jewelry wire in the store, and we've been using it for years, and it holds up very good. And so again, 20 gauge is what we're going to use for our rings today. Whenever we are looking at our design and making the rings, you want to determine how many wraps you want around the base of the ring. If it's only 1 or 2 wraps and you don't want it too thick, then that's fine. Okay, this is the design. When you're designing and the look that you want for your ring, then this will determine the length of wire you're going to cut. Now we're only going to do a basic technique today, which would be like this. Okay, but we know that we'll still do maybe 3 wraps for the base. And if you're looking at adding any little extra design, we know that you will need more wire. Okay, so today we're just going to learn the basic technique of making your rings, and then as you continue to practice, then you would be able to get a little more fancier, adding little decorative features to your ring. And so this particular piece of wire that I cut, I think I cut 14 inches. Okay, this is a 14-inch piece of wire. We're going to need our cutter because we have to cut the wire. You will also need a chain nose or square nose pliers. We will need a hammer. This is a nylon hammer that you will be able to use to harden your wire, because you don't want your wire to be too flimsy, and if it's not hard, then it'll work its way out of shape. Okay, and so we definitely need our ring mandrel, and this is what we would use to form our ring. Another tool that we need, which I don't have with me now, is the ring sizer. And so if you're making a ring for a pinky finger, we do have the sizes at the store. Then you're going to use the sizer to determine which size ring is needed for that particular finger. Okay, and so a sizer will definitely be important if you're going into making rings for family and friends. And so let's get started. We're going to use, this is about a 10 millimeter bead. It's a natural stone. And what we're going to do is we're going to feed it onto this wire, and we're going to center it just like this. Okay. Now, if you're making a size, we're going to make a size, let's say we're going to make a size 8 ring today. No, I think we're going to make a size 7. Based on the amount of wire that I cut, I think we will be comfortable with a size 7. So if we're going with a size 7, we're going to position our wire starting at a size 8. Because as we continue wrapping the wire, then you will see we're going to end up with a size 7. So we're actually making a size 7, but when I position my wire, I'm going to position it on a size 8. So I load the bead on the wire, and then what I usually do is I bend the wire alongside the bead. Okay, so I just, and I'm trying to stay focused, keep my hand under the camera to make sure that I'm in frame. You can see that, okay? And so I try to get it centered. Okay, and then I open it up like that. And so size 8, I'm going to turn the mandrel to the groove side, and then I'm going to turn it underneath to see if I'm positioned on a size 8. Okay, and then I'm going to start wrapping my wire around the base. A lot of times customers would say, I seem to have to do a hands-on, I have to go in class to take classes or to learn a particular technique when it comes to jewelry making. But what I've found, if you have the material with you that you're able to practice while watching the video, it's a different experience, because you're able to pause the video, you're able to practice that first step, you can play, you can rewind, pause until you have gotten that technique. But if you just sit and watch without any material, it's a little bit more difficult, because then you're going to say, oh, in your mind, you're going to think that you're not able to do it. And then sometimes you think that you can. And when you sit to do it after getting the material, you realize, wow, I can't figure out how this is done. But have the material available while watching the videos so that you can practice the technique along with the video. And we have all of the products available for you. We will put the link, we'll put the comments in the comments below. We'll link all the products that you will need, and you're able to go on our website and shop. So again, we're going to wrap the wire around the mandrel. Okay, and here we want to make sure that the wire is not overlapping. That's a beautiful ring when you make sure that the wires are all lined up and they're not overlapping. And I'm showing you how it looks on this particular ring. Okay, and we pay attention to that by separating them and making sure that when we come to the bottom, we keep them separated. Okay, it's still on a size 8. Okay, you wrap it around the base and then you turn it over. It's still on a size 8, and you just want to make sure that they're not overlapping, right? And you want to make sure that it's centered, because you want the same amount, or approximately the same amount of wire on each side, right? And then once you've done that, and again, when you remembered, we kind of pinch the wire up against the bead So that helps us with the neck that we're going to use to wrap the wire around. It comes with practice to get it centered. Sometimes I get it centered, sometimes it's off angle, and if I don't like how it looks, then I put a little decorative wire or something there. But you know, the rings are all handmade, and so no two will always be the same. You know, you can always tweak it and put a little extra flair on it. And so, but again, once you practice, you will get so much better at it. You're going to feel so clumsy in the beginning because you have to figure out the best way for you to hold your mandrel. You might put the mandrel between your knees to hold the mandrel so that you're able to have your hands free. There are some people who put like a vise or a grip, a clamp on their table to hold the ring mandrel so that their hands can be free to work on the ring itself. And so as you continue to work on rings, and if you find it's something that you like doing, listen, you're able to make rings and sell, sell, sell. Customers love rings. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to take the wire and wrap it around the neck of the bead. Okay, and you have to wrap it until you get to about maybe an inch, inch and a half tail, because you need wire to wrap around the base. And so from here, what I do is I take it off of the mandrel, and so this is how it looks. I take it off of the mandrel and I guide the wire through, guide that one through, and I guide the other one through the center to start wrapping. Now what I do is I put it back on the ring mandrel, because while I'm pulling the wire with the chain nose or the square nose, I don't want my ring to come out of shape. Okay, and so what I will do is I will hold my ring and I will pull this side. You can see, just put some tension and hold that side, and then I will turn to the other side and I will pull and put some tension so that I can get that wire flat on the other side. And this is what you have. Okay, and so now you can see that one side of the wire is longer, and that's okay. So based on the amount of wire that I have here, this is the amount of times that I am going to wrap based on whatever amount this piece of wire can give me. So if it's only 2 times I can wrap on this side, then I will do the same thing on the other side, because you want both sides to be uniform. And so I will take my wire around, making sure that it's not overlapping, that it's laying flat against the other one. And then I'll come around and okay, so that's a little tail. I'm going to use my cutter and I'm going to cut that off. Okay, use my finger to make sure that it's not rough. I usually use a side cutter because what this does, it gives us a flush cut on that particular side, and so the wire is not rough. And so again, I don't cut my wire underneath, because when my customer is putting on their ring, I don't want anything to scratch them on the underside of the ring. And so again, this side I'm going to wrap one more time. I'm going to lay that there, and that'll be the same amount of wraps on this side. And then I'm going to take my cutter, again cutting on the flush side of the pliers. I'm going to cut here. And then if my wire is sticking up, I usually feel if it's sticking up, then I use my chain nose or square nose, just to put some pressure on that to make sure that that's laying flat. Then I put my ring back on the ring mandrel, and you see it's now at a size 7. Okay, then this is where the hammer comes in. Make sure that that's centered. I come down to a size 7, and this is where I use my hammer, and you see how the wires are all laying flat. That's what you want. I use my hammer and I hammer, and this hardens the wire. And here you have a beautiful, can you see it? Beautiful ring. Okay, and again, as you make, now this is definitely not my size. Now if my finger is like a size 10, and so I know that 14 inches will not be sufficient for my size ring. And so I actually have a book where I write my notes based on the design that I want. I know how much wire it will take for that particular style. And so again, there's so many designs that you're able to do once you make the base. Let's look at a few here. I made the base, right? Same technique that we use for this one. And then I had extra wire and I did some little loops around I call them my petals around the bead. Okay, this is another style. Okay, this is one with a larger bead. Again, the larger the bead, then you're going to need a little bit more wire. This is one that I made without the bead, with a loop on the top, because I want to add a charm so that I have that movement on this particular ring. And so there's so many things you're able to do, so many designs you're able to come up with. Once you have that base, the technique for the base under your belt, you'll be able to design and create so many more beautiful rings. And so again, please like, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, follow us, share, and we will put more information in the comments about where you can purchase on the website. And stay tuned, because the next video we will be doing is adjustable rings. And with adjustable rings, you won't have to worry about your customers telling you, oh, it didn't fit. You don't have to worry about sizing your rings. And so stay connected, like and share.